Yes, man, welcome back to another vid. In 1993, Michael Jordan was at his most dangerous. We watched 1991. We saw MJ win his first ring. He silenced all the doubters. Everybody was saying, he was great, but could he win? You know what I'm saying? And he proved them wrong with that first ring against Magic Johnson and the Lakers. And then 1992, he went back to back. A lot of people didn't think he could do it. A lot of people thought he was a one-hit wonder, but he proved the doubters wrong once again. And in 1993, I'm guessing this is when Jordan was at his peak. This is when nobody was fucking with Jordan. All right? So I want to see how this all came about. I want to see MJ's dominance around the 1993 season, man. I want to see how he scared all his opponents, man, and how crazy of a gap was his excellence. You dig? So before we get into it, like the video, comment down below, man, any videos y'all want Young Groovy to react to next. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel if you new.
By 1993, Michael Jordan's eyes had changed. The joy that once danced in them during his early championships had hardened into something darker. He was still the hunter, but now he knew what it felt like to be hunted. Every night, every game, every moment. He was tired of the media, tired of the pressure, and tired of being everyone's target. But instead of breaking, he became something else entirely. Stronger, angrier, and more dangerous than the NBA had ever seen.
Facing the head fake from Jordan. Season and through the playoffs. Michael Jordan going to the baseline. 26.
This is the story of Jordan's most lethal season, when exhaustion, controversy, and tragedy transformed him into basketball's ultimate killer.
Ooh, okay.
If there's one disadvantage to winning back-to-back championships in any sport, it's the toll it takes over time. After logging 99 intense games in 1991 and another 104 in 1992, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen didn't get much of a break. Instead, they jetted off to Barcelona to suit up for the iconic Dream Team, arguably the greatest Olympic basketball squad ever assembled. But while the world celebrated in Barcelona, something was shifting inside Jordan. The grind was becoming exactly that, a grind. The Bulls had logged 203 games in 2 years. As Pat Riley, who knew something about dynasties from his Laker days, warned, it's the championship that kills the champion. The hunger fades, personal agendas emerge, and somewhere between gold medal celebrations and photo ops in Spain, that hunger began to dim in Chicago. By the time the 92-93 season tipped off, Jordan was eyeing something historic, a third straight title. Only two teams had ever pulled it off, the Minneapolis Lakers of the 1950s and the Boston Celtics of the 1960s. No team had three-peated in the modern NBA. Legacy was at stake, but when the Bulls regrouped that fall, it was obvious. The wear and tear was setting in. Watch Jordan in 1993 closely. There were less of the acrobatic drives of 1991, replaced by more methodical post-ups. He'd added 15 pounds of muscle, not to fly higher, but to punish smaller guards down low. This wasn't evolution by choice, it was survival. The 93 Bulls were still very good, but they weren't the same dominant force. By season's end, they had dropped to second in the East behind the surging New York Knicks, and third overall behind Charles Barkley's Phoenix Suns. Most pundits saw both teams as real threats to Chicago's crown. Sports Illustrated even predicted a Knicks-Suns finals. The Bulls were done, they said. What those critics missed were the Bulls' intangibles. That late-game grit, that unshakable confidence that had carried them through countless tight moments before. And Jordan, he was becoming something more terrifying than ever. Despite averaging 32.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 5.5 assists, plus finishing second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, Jordan's MVP streak came to an end. The award went to Charles Barkley, who had led Phoenix to a league-best 62-20 record.
Wait. How do you not win MVP with these type of numbers?
Points, 6.7 rebounds, and 5.5 assists, plus finishing second in Defensive Player of the Year voting.
And
Jordan's
second
MVP streak came
Defensive
to an
Player of the
end.
Year voting.
The award went to Charles Barkley, who had led Phoenix to a league-best 62-20 record. MJ would have something to say about
Had a
that,
good season.
but first, he'd had to navigate a minefield that went far beyond basketball. The whispers had been building all season. Stories of Jordan's late-night gambling sessions, six-figure golf bets, and connections to unsavory characters began surfacing in the media. It wasn't just casual betting anymore. Reports linked him to $1.25 million gambling debts. The Atlantic City trip before Game 2 against the Knicks became a media firestorm. Here was Jordan, supposedly preparing for the biggest game of the year, spotted at a casino until the early hours of the morning. Commissioner David Stern called him in for meetings. The media smelled blood. For the first time, Jordan's carefully crafted image, the smiling pitchman from the commercials, "Be like Mike," was cracking. "I have a competition problem," Jordan would later admit, trying to reframe his gambling as just another expression of his competitive fire. But the scrutiny was relentless. Every bet became a headline. Every casino sighting became a scandal. The NBA was in the middle of a changing of the guard. Magic Johnson had retired in 1991 after revealing he was HIV positive. Larry Bird, plagued by chronic back pain, quietly walked away in 1992. Suddenly, the full weight of carrying the league fell on Michael. At that time, Michael wasn't enjoying himself anymore. Magic Johnson would later reflect, "See what happened? Larry Bird and I left, and we left him. He's the one sitting there. Now it's just him." The joy that once fueled him was fading, buried under pressure and constant scrutiny, and that made him dangerous in ways the league had never seen. "Everyone's glad the playoffs are here," Jordan told reporters, his jaw tight with something between exhaustion and determination. "This is where the season is really made. Now is when the real fun begins." The regular season had been a grind, but when April arrived, and with it the familiar electricity of the postseason, something awakened in Jordan. That dormant fire didn't just flicker back to life, it exploded.
Not gonna lie, this season right here is starting off a little different. Jordan and Pippen and the Chicago Bulls, them coming off a back-to-back championship run, man, that caused them to have a lot of wear and tear on their body. Plus, they played in the Olympics with the Dream Team. So you can imagine how much basketball they were playing during that span of time. So entering the season, Jordan changed his style of play. This is what I'm hearing from this video. He changed his style of play from being this high flyer, always trying to finish at the rim, to playing with his back against the basket and in that mid-range game. You feel me? So he changed his style of play and kind of took a back seat in the regular season, which kind of put the Chicago Bulls under the radar, and they shined a light on the Phoenix Suns and the New York Knicks. And then all these allegations about Jordan and his gambling addiction is entering the media, and they going crazy, trying to destroy his character and how much he loved the game of basketball and stuff like that, man. So all of this is going on before this three-peat. So I want to see how Jordan turn that switch on when the playoffs hit, because y'all know he a different animal when the playoffs hit. His numbers increase. You dig? So let's see what he do.
The Bulls wasted no time silencing critics once the Eastern Conference playoffs began. In the first round, they made quick work of the Atlanta Hawks. Dominic Wilkins was still in peak human highlight reel form, averaging 29.9 points per game that season, but he didn't have much help. Chicago swept the Hawks with ruthless efficiency.
Swept?
3 games. Jordan averaged 34.3 points, but it was how he scored that sent chills through the league. Methodical, calculated, no wasted motion. Next up, a familiar foe, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Richfield Coliseum felt silent every time Jordan touched the ball. Cue the painful memories for Cav fans, especially the shot over Craig Elo in '89. But Cleveland thought they had finally solved their Michael Jordan problem. They'd signed Gerald Wilkins, brought in for one specific reason, to prove his self-proclaimed Jordan stopper moniker was legit. And early on, it seemed to work. With Wilkins pestering MJ all over the floor, the Cavs had won 3 of 5 regular season matchups against Chicago.
Okay.
But game 1 of their playoff series told a different story. Jordan dropped 43 points
Damn.
on 16 for 30 shooting, treating Wilkins like a traffic cone.
Efficient
The Jordan
buckets.
stopper had a tough time tonight, MJ said post-game, that dangerous smirk creeping across his face. He's going to be ready to come back the next game, but so am I.
Damn, so this guy was the quote-unquote Jordan stopper in the regular season. And I guess they won the regular season battle. And then when the playoffs hit, Jordan dropped 43 points on his dome. I'm talking about sent a message.
This was different. This was the Bulls
What the
locked
hell?
in. This was Jordan at his most lethal. When Cleveland tried to avoid a sweep in Game 4, Jordan reached back into his bag of nightmares. With the game tied at 101, Jordan missed a mid-range jumper that could have sealed it. Craig Elo, yes, Craig Elo, missed on the other end, giving Chicago one more shot. 18.5 seconds left, ball in hand, full court to go. The Cavaliers knew what was coming.
Know what time
Everyone
it
in the
is.
building knew. Jordan fought through Wilkins' desperate off-ball pressure, caught the ball with 10 seconds left, made his move to the right elbow, elevated over his supposed stopper and another Cavalier
two?
trying to double, and drilled the game winner to send Chicago to the Eastern Conference Finals. The shot, part 2, another dagger in Cleveland's heart.
Damn! He swept them boys too? 2 sweeps?
Next came the real test. The 92-93 New York Knicks were built to dethrone Jordan. One of only 2 60-win teams that year, they had the league's best defense, giving up just 95.4 points per game.
Ooh.
Pat Riley had constructed a team of bruisers specifically designed to punish Jordan every time he touched the ball. A strategy borrowed from his rivals, the bad boy Pistons.
Okay.
Madison Square Garden was a madhouse for Game 1. The Knicks took it convincingly, with their suffocating defense holding Jordan to 10 of 27 shooting. Then
Ooh.
came the Atlantic City incident. Hours before Game 2, Jordan was spotted at a casino, gambling into the early morning hours. The media went into overdrive.
Damn.
Here was proof, they said, that Jordan's gambling was out of control, that he wasn't taking the Knicks seriously. The controversy seemed to affect him. In Game 2, the Knicks won again, capped by John Starks'
2-0?
thunderous dunk over multiple Bulls defenders. A moment that had New York thinking
Okay,
this
Starks?
was finally their year. The Bulls were down 0-2, and Jordan looked vulnerable. Back in
0-2?
Chicago for Game 3, Jordan shot just 3 of 18. The headlines wrote themselves. The gambling, the losses, the poor shooting. But here's what made 1993 Jordan different and dangerous. The Bulls still crushed the Knicks, 103-88.
What?
When we went to Chicago for Game
How? He shot 3 for 18 that game and they still won? Oh my God. Knicks, y'all in trouble.
Game 3, Jordan shot 3 for 18, but we were ill-prepared to win that game. Former Knicks assistant Jeff Van Gundy would later admit, they beat us by 20. That was our chance. If we'd been right and ready, we might have gone up 3-0.
Damn.
Jordan's response to his poor performance was vintage 1993. Ruthless, calculated annihilation. In Game 4, with his back against the wall and the media circling like vultures, he erupted for
Hand in his
54
face.
points
Damn.
in a 105-95 win. He didn't just beat the
54?
Knicks, he demoralized them. We exhaled instead
Hey.
of keeping that laser focus we had in the first 2 games, Patrick Ewing reflected. In Game 4, he woke up, and even though we played a much better game, we just didn't have enough. The Bulls took the
54?
next 2 and sent the Knicks home. That New York Knicks team might have been one of the best ever built, but they had the misfortune of running into Michael Jordan at his most dangerous, when he had something to prove.
That's crazy. That's crazy. He turned up.
The biggest threat wasn't in the East, it was waiting in June. An MVP, a 62-win juggernaut, a city starving for a title.
Okay.
The Phoenix Suns believed this was their year. Charles Barkley had waited 7 years for this moment. 7 years of watching Jordan collect rings. Now, with home court advantage and an MVP trophy,
He hooping.
Chuck thought the basketball gods had finally tilted the scales. When I got to Phoenix, I told those guys the first day, I said, guys, we're going to be in the finals. We're going to play that motherfucker in Chicago, Barkley recalled. I said, I'm sick of people telling me that he's better than me. I just didn't have no help in Philly. For the first time in 3 years, Jordan's Bulls didn't have home court advantage in the finals. Games 1 and 2 would be in the desert heat of Phoenix. Phil Jackson hoped Chicago would steal one on the road. Jordan wanted both.
Let's get it.
Phoenix's America West Arena was deafening for Game 1. Over 19,000 fans, sensing destiny, created a wall of sound that made Bulls players' ears ring during timeouts. But Jordan had entered the dangerous zone where noise became fuel. In Game 1, the Bulls' strategy was surgical. Don't double Barkley unless he was in the paint. Let him work for everything.
Ooh.
The gamble worked. Sir Charles
help
struggled
side.
mightily, going
that,
just
Pippen?
9 for 25.
Oh, no.
Jordan had only 17 points through 3 quarters when the Suns launched a late comeback, trimming the lead to 88-85.
Okay.
But in the final 4.5 minutes, the most dangerous version of Jordan emerged. He scored 14 points down the stretch, each basket more cold-blooded than the last. Final line, 31 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and forced 5 turnovers. Bulls win 100-92.
Turned up
Game 2
force.
was the Jordan Barkley duel everyone wanted. Both stars dropped 42 points, but
Ooh.
Jordan added 12 rebounds and 9 assists.
Damn.
More importantly, he made Barkley work for every point, using his added bulk to battle in the post. Bulls win again, 111-108. It looked like Chicago might cruise to a third straight title. Then came Game 3, one of the greatest overtime battles in finals history.
Triple overtime? Wow.
June
What the hell?
13, 1993. The United Center was electric, expecting a coronation. Instead, they got a wall. The Suns led 99-88.
Okay.
With 7 minutes 30 left in regulation, the Bulls looked exhausted, particularly Jordan, who had played virtually every minute. But this was 1993 Jordan, dangerous precisely because he had learned to weaponize his exhaustion. Chicago stormed back with a 15-4 run to force overtime. Then another, then another. In triple overtime, bodies were scattered across the court like a battlefield. Players cramped, coaches ran out of timeouts. Jordan had taken 43 shots. Kevin Johnson, all 6'1" of him, had played 62 minutes, using his speed to harass Jordan while dropping 25 points.
Okay.
Suns coach Paul Westphal
Johnson?
fought off flashbacks. He was on the floor as a player during the previous triple overtime finals game in 1976 when Boston beat Phoenix 128-126.
That's
This
crazy.
time, Barkley made sure history didn't repeat. He and Dan Marley buried back-to-back threes as the Suns survived, 129-121. Jordan finished with 44 points in 55 minutes, but for once, even his dangerous late-game execution wasn't enough.
Close that.
MJ bounced back in Game 4 with a masterpiece, 55 points on 21 of 37
What
shooting.
the hell?
It was the most points in a finals game since
55
Elgin Baylor in
points.
1962. The Bulls took a 3-1 series lead, but the Suns weren't done. In Game 5, despite Jordan's 41 points, Chicago fell 108-98, sending the series back to Phoenix. I believe it's our destiny to win a world championship, Barkley said after that game. We didn't care we were down 3-1. God wants us to win that championship. I talked to him the other night.
Better respond. The Paxton.
Game 6, Phoenix, June 20, 1993. The Suns led 98-94 with under a minute left. The home crowd could taste it. But championship teams, dangerous teams, find a way. Jordan grabbed a defensive rebound and went coast to coast for a layup. 98-96.
Okay.
On the next possession, Chicago's defense forced Dan Marley into a desperation heave as the shot clock expired. With 14.1 seconds left, the Bulls had the ball. What followed was poetry. Jordan passed out of a double team to Pippen, who drove and found Horace Grant. Grant, 0 for 5 in the game, and gun-shy, made the extra pass to John Paxson beyond the arc. Swish. Bulls lead 99-98. Once Pax got the ball, I knew it was over, Jordan said.
Good ball.
Phoenix had one last chance, but Grant blocked Kevin Johnson's drive, sealing Chicago's three-peat.
Damn. Gotta get Barkley the ball.
Jordan averaged 41 points in the 1993 finals.
Damn.
That still stands. He won his third straight finals MVP, cementing his place among the all-time greats.
What?
But the celebration felt different this time, heavier. Even Barkley was in awe. I thought God wanted me to win the finals, but I didn't realize God was wearing number 23 for the Bulls. After clinching his third title, Jordan's exhaustion was visible. Winning this championship is harder than anything I've done before in basketball. With all the ups and downs that I've gone through this season and the mental approach that I've had to take into each game, he told reporters there were no thoughts of walking away. My love for basketball is still very strong. That was June 20, 1993. On July 23, Jordan's world shattered. His father, James Jordan, whom Michael called his best friend, was murdered at a roadside rest stop in North Carolina. James had been more than Michael's father. He was his anchor, the man who taught him to stick out his tongue while concentrating, who stayed up late talking baseball and life after games. When police found his body, they found Michael's 1993 All-Star ring on his finger. The grief was suffocating. Jordan wouldn't speak publicly for weeks, and when he finally did, his voice cracked. He saw my last championship. I'm grateful for that. On October 6, 1993, Michael Jordan shocked the world by retiring from basketball. The gambling controversies, the exhaustion, the loss of his father. It was all too much. I have reached the pinnacle of my career, he said. I just feel I don't have anything else to prove.
Damn. I'm not gonna lie though. Matter of fact, let me let the video finish.
1993 wasn't Jordan at his most athletic or even his happiest. It was Jordan at his most dangerous. A player who had learned that greatness isn't about feeling great, it's about delivering when you feel nothing at all. He
Facts.
scored 41 points per game in the finals while
That's
battling
crazy,
tendonitis in
bro.
both knees, his ankles, and his
Ooh.
wrists. He carried the weight of an entire league on his shoulders.
He had
After
injuries
Magic
too?
and Bird left, he fought through gambling scandals that threatened to destroy his legacy.
Yeah.
And after his father's death, he battled through grief that would have broken most people. This
Damn.
was the Jordan who proved that when everything is falling apart, a true champion doesn't just survive, he dominates. 3 months after the greatest scoring performance in finals history, he walked away from basketball. But first, he made sure everyone knew who owned it. The 1993 Michael Jordan wasn't just dangerous because what he could do on the court. He was dangerous because he showed the world what it really costs to be the greatest, and that he was willing to pay it every single night. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, remember to like and subscribe because there's plenty more on the way.
Go video right here, man. 1993 Michael Jordan was at his most dangerous. I would agree, man. This is peak Jordan right here. Averaging 41 points per game in the NBA Finals. It's different, bro. That record gonna be up there for a while. The Phoenix Suns had no answers for MJ. And mind you, in this season, MJ switched up his play style from being very mobile to just getting to his spots and taking what the defense give him. But from what I've seen from this video right here, this is the most polished Jordan from the previous two championships. You feel me? So, he had a lot of things going on during this time, man, as far as all the allegations with his gambling problems, all the wear and tear from the previous seasons and the Olympics, the grief of his father. You know, there's a lot of things he was dealing with. But the crazy thing is, man, it's like when the playoffs hit, man, MJ just turned to a different monster. He swept the Hawks, got them up out the way. Swept the Cavs, got them up out the way. Then he was down 0-2 versus the Knicks. Came back, dropped 50, 4 on them boys? And then came back, won that series, and then met Charles Barkley, the MVP, and put belt to ass to the Suns. They didn't have no answers for him. It was a great series, but Jordan just came through and did what he do. This was a crazy year for Jordan, man. All the doubters, the media trying to destroy his character, him losing his father, just everything that was going on in his life, man. He just used that to fuel his fire, man. And he went out there and performed at the highest level. And he came through for his team when it mattered the most, man. And that's why MJ is the GOAT. He won 3 championships straight, man. Only 2 other teams did that before he did. You feel me? So this was a special player. This was a special group right here, man. 1993 Michael Jordan. Was this peak Jordan? In the comments down below, y'all let me know. Because I think this is peak Jordan. This is the most polished Jordan I've seen. If y'all want another video like this, man, y'all like the video. Comment down below any videos y'all want me to react to next. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel if you new. Young Groovy signing out. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one.